Hello from Gamescom. I'm James Lopez with Gearbox Software,
I'm Joel Eschler from 2K Australia.
and we're here today to talk to you about Borderlands the Pre Sequel. Stay tuned to Connected Digital World. Cheers. Sure. Well, Borderlands is a first-person shooter that takes place on a desert planet called Pandora. Pandora has these alien structures called vaults that have stored away inside them great treasure and powerful weapons. And there are these characters called Vault Hunters who are essentially very powerful warriors that go to try to plunder the vaults. Borderlands the Pre Sequel takes place between Borderlands 1 and Borderlands 2 and features 4 Vault Hunters in the employment of Jack, who eventually becomes Handsome Jack in Borderlands 2. Awesome question.
Yeah, even for us as fans of 2K Australia, while Borderlands 2 is being developed, we were working on Bioshock Infinite, and even then, when the game came out, we were seeing people ask, like, when are we going to find out what the hell happened with that moon? I mean, why are there lava cracks all over it? Why is there this Hyperion space station up there? Why do you do this and not tell me, Gearbox? So we thought it was a really awesome opportunity to explain exactly what happened there, and also, even though Jack may not be around after Borderlands 2, there's a lot of story to tell there, and he's kind of a love him or hate him character who has a very interesting psyche. And it was our opportunity to go up to the moon and to tell this story of how Jack goes from someone who's working for Hyperion, who has really good aspirations, to the megalomaniac that he is in Borderlands 2, who scoots people's eyeballs out. And that was kind of our starting point. It set up a really good narrative for us to tell and go into a completely new location. And with this, it brought new gameplay elements. Going to the moon meant we had to have low gravity. There's low atmosphere. And then the floodgates just opened because you have low gravity. You're able to do these massive jumps all around. That changes the level design, adding more verticality. It changes how enemies are going to behave. With the low oxygen system, you have this piece of gear called the Oz Kit, which it allows you to breathe out where there's no atmosphere, but it also allows you to do these really cool moves like venting oxygen. You get to do like a double jump kind of. You can go higher or boost further along, but you can do this really cool attack called a slam, where if you get high enough and you hold the crouch button, you just slam down to the ground, do an area of effect attack, and you can get really cool Oz kits which do electrical damage or fire damage. You can even get ones which create an oxygen bubble and then set guys on fire, because if you're in a no atmosphere environment, you won't burn. So if you create an oxygen-rich environment, you can set guys on fire as much as you want.
Sure. So we are bringing back characters from Borderlands 1 and Borderlands 2. We have Nisha, who is called the Lawbringer, and she is the sheriff of Lynchwood in Borderlands 2. Nisha is our sort of our gunslinging character. You know, she's the promise of every cowboy film you've ever watched. We have Wilhelm, who was the first big boss fight in Borderlands 2. When you saw him, he was originally basically a loader with a human head, but because this is the pre-sequel, he's more man now than he is machine. But what's really cool is that as you progress with him, you can unlock these changes to his body so that you can replace his regular arm with like a pneumatic fist, or add like these sort of like suspensions to his legs. Sorry, not suspension, hydraulics. And so what you can actually do throughout the game is change him more into that machine that he becomes later on in Borderlands 2. We have Athena, who was sort of like the ultimate warrior from Borderlands 1 General Knox DLC, and you have to play her now as she's sort of this. She has this really cool kinetic aspis that is this energy shield, and also this really cool red sword. So she's kind of our Spartan character. The kinetic aspis will absorb attacks from enemies that you can throw back at them. I think one of the neater things about that is you can also spec yourself out so that you can absorb friendly fire or elements. So you can absorb fire and corrosive damage, everything on your shield, and then throw it back, so you just have this sort of maelstrom of elemental effects on something.
Something really cool you can do, if you see a bunch of enemies up ahead and each of your buddies have like awesome elemental weapons, yeah, you can just pull out your shield, they will shoot it towards you, charge it up, get ice, get laser, fire, get electrical damage, and if you go right down the phalanx tree, it'll actually rebound off enemies, so you can then just jump into encounter, throw your shield, and do all kinds of elemental damage and just normal damage to them right from the get-go.
Yeah. And our last but not least, Claptrap. And I think Claptrap and Nisha are like the big reveals for us at this show, but especially Claptrap, because people have been wanting to know ever since we teased out that you can play as him, what does he do? Claptrap was, of course, this very important NPC in Borderlands 1 that would open stuff for you, so it was pathetic Charlie Brown kind of character, and we had him back in Borderlands 2. He ends up playing a very major role in the game, but this time he's a Vault Hunter. And the idea is that Jack has made modifications to his programming so that he is essentially a weaponized Claptrap. But the code is not perfect, it's incomplete. And so he is very powerful but very unpredictable. So he has these really cool skills that can do a lot of damage, like you can turn him into a pirate ship that has these 4 cannons that are just firing off these cannonballs that do massive damage. But sometimes a giant rubber duck forms around him and everyone in the team, and they just start bouncing for about 30 seconds. But the thing is that even everything that he can do, even if it seems odd, is powerful as long as you know how to use it. But because it's unpredictable, it does require a little bit of agility with how to use him.
Yeah, for example, if he does activate his action skill and for some reason, analyzing the situation, it determines that you should all wear rubber duckies and bounce around the environment, that could be troublesome, but because we have the slam attack, you can actually bounce even higher, and then you can have all of your team slamming down and doing massive damage to everyone. So it really is about, it analyzes the environment, but then you need to analyze the skill that it gives you. So he's quite an advanced character.
Well, and you know, something that's really cool about the slam attack is that you can shove your enemies back with it. So, and we have plenty of areas where you're fighting enemies on bridges or on ledges, and when you slam, you can just shove them off of that. So imagine 30 seconds just throwing everything around you off ledges, and it's very satisfying. I certainly hope so. I think that the chaos that surrounds Claptrap will be potentially off-putting for some people. But again, I think when people see just how awesome his tree is and how it can be utilized, I think we'll see a lot of people playing with him. Yes, next time. Yeah, well, laser weapons was something that that 2K Australia and we had kind of fleshed out when we had this discussion about what are the promises of being on the moon, because we knew that Elpis was going to be, we wanted to be like our moon, and also kind of harken back to the evocative ideas of like high science fiction.
Yeah, it was really awesome for us to kind of go into space. This is the first time you're leaving Pandora. You're going to Elpis, you're also going to the Hyperion space station as well, and yeah, these high sci-fi ideas, and lasers was pretty much the first one, and we were really excited to bring them, not just because they look cool, but it's a totally new weapon type, and of course all of the manufacturers have their different kind of abilities from their stocks and their barrels, so just adding these to the weapon pool adds, you know, hundreds of thousands of different varieties, and you can have like an ice laser beam where you can freeze someone with your beam and then go up and then punch them and shatter them, especially if you unlock Wilhelm's Power Fist, which is his nomadic kind of go-go gadget fist, which does massive damage. Freezing someone and then punching them with that is always going to shatter them pretty much.
You know, it really depends. They all have these really cool abilities. But I think, you know, like if I'm playing alone, I really like Athena, because the ability to absorb enemy damage buys me some time. You know, if my shield is being chipped away, I bring out my other shield. You know, if I really want to wreak wholesale damage with revolvers, because I'm a big Jacobs fan, I'll play as Nisha. But I think when I'm doing co-op, I really like to do Claptrap.
Yeah, it is really awesome when you're playing 4 players and you jump in as Claptrap, because I just love seeing people's reactions. If I activate my action skill and I get a laser disco ball above my head shooting lasers out and shoot out a rainbow which buffs everyone, or if I hold up my hand and just hope that someone comes and high-fives me so we can buff everyone, it just adds this extra dynamic to the game. And of course, in this game, all of the Vault Hunters have their own unique voice. Unlike the other Borderlands game, they react differently to just about every single action, and they respond to each other and have banter between them as well, and I really love listening to Claptrap banter with the other characters.
Yeah, there was a seemingly small thing that we did in the Tiny Tina DLC for Borderlands 2 that we got a lot of really positive feedback from, which was a few moments where your playable character responds to in-game events. Just a line, but a couple of them. And people like that because they got to know more about the character they were playing as. And we knew that we were doing the pre-sequel that we wanted to do more of that. And so there's a lot of commentary from your characters throughout the game. And they also respond to each other, through whether you're reviving them or doing something really cool. There's a lot more interaction, which we really hope will make the characters feel more organic.
I especially love when I'm playing as Claptrap and I encounter other Claptrap robots.
Yeah.
And just their kind of dynamic. It's awesome.
It's very like fourth wall kind of breaking. It's awesome. Because it's awesome.
It is, Borderlands is about telling really great stories, but wrapping them in this humor. And with this game, we've taken everything that worked for Borderlands 2 and then expanded and added onto it. So we have a really great story. We have hilarious moments. In fact, when you go to Elpis, it's a completely different culture up there. We have had more writers working on this game. We have Anthony Birch, who worked on Borderlands 2, as well as a couple English writers who are based out of Australia. And because Elpis is a completely new place, we wanted to make it feel different, not just with the visuals and the gravity, but the inhabitants as well. And all of the inhabitants, they're kind of Australian. And originally it was kind of accidental, but it really works because it makes it feel like a totally new place, and there's different humor, and there's different kind of characters up there. It feels totally separate to Pandora.
All the things about Borderlands that make it awesome are in here. We've got great gear, and we've expanded the gear system. I think probably one of the most favorite things about our games is the co-op, because it's a great way for you to play with your friends, and we're creating new characters that also have a lot of co-op-centric skills, so that you can do even more together, so that it's more about playing together than trying to carve out your own area. If you want to do it that way, that's fine also, because we have skills that lend themselves to that, but we're trying to enhance cooperative play as much as possible. It's a really fun game. I hope people like it.
Thanks for watching. Why not subscribe to our YouTube channel by clicking on the link on the screen now?